Tigers return home to John Unitas Stadium. We'll preview the Tigers game against the High Point Panthers today on the Tiger Lacrosse Report. Hello again, fans. After 2 games on the road, the Tigers are back within the friendly confines of John Unitas Stadium, taking on the High Point Panthers. As always, I'm joined by the head coach of the Tigers, Sonia LaMonica. And coach, 2 games on the road, not huge road trips, one to Philly, one literally you could have walked to it. Yep. But it's always nice to be back at home, and this team is hungry for a win, and they'd love to do it in front of their fans.
Hungry for a win for sure, and I think we're excited. We continue to get better. We've continued to grow through each game. We've kind of corrected some things within our game. You can't always correct everything right away, but we're excited. We've been putting in a lot of hard work. We've raised the accountability level and practice. We are simply expecting more out of our players, and the great news is they're responding really well. So I know that'll pay dividends as we move forward, and we've had a bit of breathing room between our last game to this game to be able to do that. So we're just taking advantage, and we've got no time to lose. We just got to keep grinding and keep on building on the parts of our game that have been exposed up to this point.
High Point, the last time you took on the Panthers was a few years ago in the NCAA tournament. The only players I think remaining from that team are Maddie Dickman and Carly Tellenkamp, maybe 1 or 2 others.
Yeah.
The Panthers coming off 2 very tough losses. They're 1-2 on the season.
Yeah.
Number 1 UNC. I mean, they probably just want to erase that game 24-3, and then they recently just played JMU 13-8. When you have losses like that that are so one-sided for an upcoming opponent, how hard is it to kind of get to know what they're really about? Because I mean, taking on a UNC team that absolutely outclassed them.
Yeah, UNC is obviously number 1 in the country, and it shows right now. And yeah, that can be a tough takeaway, you know, watching and preparing using that game. But they've played JMU, and that was a good battle. And I think always the thing I'm cognizant of is you can't ever underestimate anybody. You can't read into scores. For the most part, anybody can beat anyone on any given day, and that's got to be the reminder sent to the players, because it's easy to get caught up in distractions and the rankings and score lines. So High Point, you know, they're obviously going to be hungry for a win too. So we're excited to just continue building on the parts of our game that need attention, and I think ultimately just working as hard as possible, harder than we were before these recent games we've played.
The Panthers led by senior Ashley Britton, 8 goals on the year. You look at them, they don't really have a lot of goals off of assists. They have 1 individual, Abby Hormus, 4 assists for her so far on the season. It's a team that does a lot of isolation, driving, and how do you, I mean, they're athletic, so you got to be ready for that on defense.
We do. We've got to be prepared and ready to execute team defense. So being there to slide, hedge, to help, negate, you know, athletic drives, and that's going to be definitely a key to our success. And I think, you know, really kind of dictating on defense. I have all the confidence in the world in the group, and it's just a matter of us continuing to work on those parts of our game, our help defense, making sure that our heads are on swivels and that we're ready to support and be there to back each other up when we're faced with some of these athletic drivers that High Point has on their roster.
You've touched on it a little bit. You look at the season you've had so far, close 1 versus Penn State. It seemed like you had the win locked up against St. Joseph's, and then a really strong first half against Loyola.
Yeah.
How close is this team? There's pieces there. You see, everyone sees it. How closer do you feel like the team is to figuring it out? And we've talked about they're young, they're very young. They just need to learn how to win. And how close do you think they're getting to that point?
I think the good news is with each game we've played, we've gotten a little better. Will it be good enough this Saturday? We're going to have to wait and find out. I think there's still work to be done. So we've still got 4 days of practice that we're going to use as effectively and as efficiently as we can, so that when we step out on Saturday, we will have grown another leap from where we were last Wednesday when we played. So I do think we have a lot of the pieces there. I do think we've needed individuals to kind of step up and take more leadership roles, and I think it's just been exciting to see the team respond really well to more pressurized situations in practice, more accountability, and I think that's going to bode well for us as we go into the weekend.
All right, the Tigers and the Panthers hit the field inside Johnny Unitas Stadium February 29th at noon. All have the call on TowsonTigers.com starting at 11:45. For head coach Sonia LaMonica, I'm Ben Rosenbaum. Thanks for joining us, and as always, go Tigers.